Let's talk about Alphabet. Fourth quarter profits came in higher than expected. Their overall revenue, which I should point out was just north of $39 billion.
Just a little bit.
Also came in higher than expected. The stock is down 3-4 percentage points today. I'm assuming at least part of this has to do with the spending that is going on at Google.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, they beat estimates for all intents and purposes, but operating profits were marginally lower than I think expectations were. And that concern came from a doubling in CapEx year over year. So a lot of people thought, man, Google's spending a lot of money to kind of reach these growth targets. Is that going to be sustainable in the future? And it's a big fish, whether or not people call it that. So I think that it's important for Google to make good use of the money that it does generate. And, while the stock's down a little bit, I think analysts might look at this and think, yeah, I mean, it's necessary. A lot of these areas in which Google is trying to compete require a lot of CapEx. I mean, look at them in the cloud business. They're significantly behind, Microsoft, for example, and they need to catch up. So that's going to require a lot of capital. So as an investor, I'm not too sure I like to see good earnings. And regardless of the market's kind of irrational response, I think it was a good quarter for them.
It was a good quarter. Advertising rates coming down, I think that is probably also a point of concern. But it seems like we've seen that before in Alphabet's past. To go back to the amount of money that they're spending, I'm a little surprised only in this regard that Ruth Porat, who is the chief financial officer, has earned tremendous respect from so many corners. And rightfully so. And I sort of look at the sell-off today, and I can't help but feel that there's just a little bit of doubting of Ruth Porat baked into that. And maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I just sort of look at her and go, you know what? I trust her 100%. I don't own this stock, but I think that if you're going to question the amount of money that Alphabet is investing, then inherent in that is questioning the wisdom of Ruth Porat. And
You're not in the business of questioning?
I'm not in the business of questioning Ruth Porat because she's, one of the best CFOs out there. And I don't know. I look at this and just think if anyone had Alphabet on their watch list yesterday, well, good news. Today you can buy it for 4% less.
Well, a little bit of a discount. I think some of that might have already been made up in the market as people did take advantage of that short-term drop. And to address the ad revenue is still growing faster than their traffic acquisition costs. And that's what's really important. So I think some of these concerns, when you put them in the larger context, I mean, of course, I'm concerned about Google competing in the cloud space, but a lot of the money that they're spending is also being turned back into, like YouTube, for example, which is an amazing platform that Google is just kind of getting into realizing the true potential of. So, I mean, I'm not concerned. I like to see it when a company is a good investor. And Google, up until this point, has been a great investor. The important thing is to me that they're investing for the purposes of future growth and that the investments that they're making today are not going to, potentially harm the company in the future. And nothing Google is doing today leads me to believe that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned YouTube because it really is pretty amazing when you look at all of the businesses under the Alphabet umbrella. You look at YouTube, how big it is, how dominant it is, how much time is spent on that platform. And as an investor, you step back and I think it's fair to say that the people at Alphabet themselves are not satisfied with the business of YouTube. They look at YouTube as something they can improve on. And so the idea that they are somewhere between only scratching the surface of YouTube's potential and fully realizing its potential, it's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, and YouTube, it's not grown without its challenges. And a lot of that comes from the roots of YouTube, the way that YouTube is monetized. I mean, inherently, you're looking at, what has grown into celebrities developing on this platform. So obviously, it's a platform that's demanding not only a lot of ad revenue, but just a lot of viewer hours watched. So it's important for them that they monetize it, but not to the point where it potentially harms the platform that it's grown into. So it'll be interesting to see how this develops. I do think that developing YouTube and all of their other initiatives are going to require a lot of capital. And to me, as an investor, if they're making good returns on that capital, I'm not worried.